Today, I would like to discuss the current trends in organizations focusing on human collaboration and e-technology as key factors in their competitive strategies and on how these organizations are creating value for their customers and stakeholders. Michael V. Copeland and Om Malek have reported on a fifth wave of computer technology in the July 2005 issue of Business 2.0. The history of computing has evolved in four waves. In the 1960s, the first wave took place as mainframe computers became essential business tools. In the 1970s, mini computers became widely accepted. Personal computers became dominant in the 1980s. The 1990s saw the widespread adoption of networking, the Internet, and distributed computing. Currently, a fifth wave is taking place in computing. This wave is different from the previous waves in that it is not driven by a particular hardware innovation or a new way of deploying computer resources. Rather, it is driven by the confluence of three technological trends: cheap and ubiquitous computing devices, low-cost, omnipresent bandwidth, and open standards. The web provides the basis for this trend. Computer hardware and storage have become dirt cheap. Mobile phones and other handhelds now have as much computing power as workstations did 5 years ago. The new Internet-based ITC iPhone is an example of this new generation of computer peripheral that is rapidly changing the way we think about calling long distance around the world, since there is no cost now. The iPhone has simultaneous audio conferencing capabilities between various users, changing the pattern of global human interaction. This year, we have distributed quite a few of these iPhones to our ITC network sites as well as to San Diego Global University online students. Broadband is becoming much more readily available, and it is extremely fast. Wireless technologies are being implemented, widely providing constant Internet access. A less obvious but equally important trend is the move to technological openness. The open source movement has created a global laboratory where creative individuals are continually developing software that other individuals and companies can use to build their own systems. However, another important trend in openness is companies opening their internal databases to outsiders, allowing inventors to create related applications or complementary products and services. Amazon was the first to adopt this practice. In 2002, Amazon opened its files to outsiders in a program called Amazon Web Services. Since then, over 65,000 programmers, businesses, and others have accessed the files. They have built money-making websites, new online shopping interfaces, and innovative services for thousands of Amazon's independent sellers, greatly expanding the company's online presence. A year later, eBay opened its database to outsiders. Since then, 15,000 developers have registered to gain access to eBay's listings. To date, 41% of eBay's listings have been made available to the newly developed programs and services. Google has also moved in this direction. The company has opened some of its search results data and recently provided access to its desktop and paid search products. Currently, dozens of Google-based services are appearing, including custom web browsers and graphical search engines. Together, these trends create a technological infrastructure to provide the basis for the fifth wave. We are surrounded by an ecosystem of connectivity, which continues to develop on its own. To a large degree, this is a bottom-up process. Corporations provide some of the momentum, but consumers are finding new uses for this connectivity, and businesses are developing new products to serve them. Downloadable ringtones are now a $2 billion a year industry. Downloadable screensavers for cell phones are estimated to have sales of $275 million this year. Given the wide-ranging opportunities and the pace of change in the marketplace, envisioning and articulating an organizational strategy becomes even more important than in the past. Whatever their size, all organizations have limited resources, and they will need to select the areas for investment carefully. This is not to say that only investments that are certain to be successful should be made, but rather organizations must avoid trying to do everything while not making any significant investment in any one area. The basis for all successful strategies in the long run is creation of value for the customer, coupled with the ability of the organization to capture some of that value. During the dot-com boom, many firms created value for their customers with free services, but were unable to capture a significant portion of that value and failed. Organizations will need to pick and choose among the opportunities before them and attempt to match those opportunities to their internal capabilities. However, in the future, one of the critical internal capabilities will be human network collaboration. Effective interactive communication at a distance is a new global competence that everyone must now acquire to participate in the new economy. As we will see later in this segment, firms no longer have to own or control all of the assets necessary for success, but rather only need access to those assets or to the networked communities that are developing on a daily basis. Today's youth and young adults are ready for this world. They have grown up playing video and computer games. They are accustomed to 24/7 access to the Internet. They play games, compete, and discuss topics of interest with others from around the world. In a previous segment on virtual teams, we emphasized the importance of establishing trust in face-to-face communication at the start of a virtual team's life. It will be interesting to see if this will be necessary with the next generation. This group does not use instruction manuals. Instead, they learn by experience, by playing the game and exchanging information with other gamers. This generation differs from the television generations in that they do not sit idly waiting to be entertained. Rather, they are active participants in exciting games and quests. However, there is a little real downside risk. Although, as parents and educators, I am certain that at some time we have all questioned whether this is the most productive use of their time. While the new technological environment has placed vast amounts of information at our fingertips, it has also presented new problems and challenges. First, in order to find the information we are interested in, we need effective search engines. Even with the use of a search engine, it is quite easy to generate an overwhelming amount of data and information on a given topic. Secondly, we need some form of validation as to the accuracy and truthfulness of the information we gather. As recent scandals at a number of reputable news organizations reveal, this is not easily accomplished. This will continue to be a problem as the pressure to be first continues to increase. Thirdly, the information does not organize itself so that we can understand its implications, nor does it indicate the correct course of action to undertake in the future. Finally, the question of what types of information should be available and what types of information should not be available remains murky. Even if this question can be answered, it is unclear that the decision could be enforced. Rex Miller discusses the emergence of a digital culture in which text, graphics, sound, and data are merged in the May-June 2005 issue of The Futurist. Boundaries between disciplines, organizations, structures, and people disappear as their content converges. This digital world has 7 qualities. Interconnection, which means our problems and opportunities are intimately linked. Emerging networks, virtual communities based on common interests have begun to level our hierarchical organizations. Complexity, in which a simple change may result in a ripple effect that produces unexpected consequences. Old analytical tools may not be adequate to evaluate potential outcomes. Acceleration, in that each new technology leads to faster change, quickening the pace of human life. This may lead to new improvements or new problems. Intangibility, in that we have little connection to the original sources of information and things we buy, use, or believe. We are moving away from a world we can touch and hold to a world that operates on intangibles like information and reputation. Convergence, in which print, graphics, sound, and data can reside in a digital medium. Past boundaries of knowledge and organizations blur, crumble, and even eventually integrate in new ways. Immediacy, in which the time between question and answer, or request and fulfillment, shrinks. There is little or no time for reflection in an environment that changes at high speed in an irregular, disorderly, and unpredictable manner. Unpredictability, in the complex, highly interactive systems often behave in an unexpected manner. As a result, well-intentioned attempts may actually worsen conditions. However, organizations that can take advantage of these characteristics of the new networked environment are leaping over the former barriers to entry in industry after industry, in apparel, toys, sports equipment, electronics, and motor vehicles. Small but savvy new companies are entering established industries without infrastructure fixed costs. They are taking advantage of the new environment with cheap but robust design tools, outsourced manufacturing, and internet-powered publicity. Michael Copeland and Andrew Tillen report on these new instant companies in the June 2005 issue of Business 2.0. Keen Footwear went from 4 guys with a great idea, some good contacts, and a loan to cover initial inventory in 2003 to a company with $30 million in sales in 2004. Traditional footwear companies take up to 10 months to design new styles. So it might have seemed crazy that 8 weeks before they would need their samples for their summer 2004 line, the Keen management team was still debating the number of styles for their new line of athletic sandals. However, the team knew they had access to resources far more powerful than had traditionally been available to a startup. They had already reserved capacity in 2 Chinese factories for massive production runs. They also knew that there were plenty of freelance shoe designers who could quickly translate the team's vision into manufacturing specs. Within months of Keen's launch, some of the most highly trafficked hipster websites and outdoor gear blogs were singing the praises of the brand, generating free buzz worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Kid Robot sells collectible figurines based on hip-hop culture and Japanese anime. The 3-year-old company is on track to have sales of $5.5 million in 2005. The company's designers first sketched new characters using Adobe Illustrator, an off-the-shelf drawing program that costs $500 a copy. They then moved to Basecamp, a web-based application that links everyone that works on Kid Robot's toys, from its New York City design team to manufacturers in China. Available from 37 signals, Basecamp costs about $100 per month. Once the design team is satisfied with the initial design, the team utilizes Basecamp to share the design with engineers in China who produce prototype models. 1 week later, the models are received in New York. The 2 teams use Basecamp to arrive at a final design, and 30 days later, the finished products come off the production lines in China. With just 11 people, Kid Robot can design, manufacture, and have a toy available for sale in 4 months, far faster than its competition. One reason they can do this is they leave the manufacturing to someone else. Thousands of contract manufacturers in Asia can bring a new product to market with unprecedented speed and efficiency. Start with Google. Type in China, manufacturer, and your product, and you will get a list of factories. Or look on eBay for products similar to yours and research who made it. Overseas plants often have a liaison fluent in English. Independent reps can find a plant matching your needs, but generally charge a 5% commission. Try to nurture long-term partnerships with factories. They will eventually act less like contractors and more like allies, helping you to improve future visions of your product. For years, marketers have been shifting dollars away from advertising campaigns and toward public relations, hoping to tap into the power of word of mouth. But the blogosphere, along with myriad forms of online bulletin boards and social networking sites, has enabled a quantum leap in the speed at which the masses can learn about, buy, and recommend new products. In May 2004, the popular blog Cool Tools, which gets 240,000 hits a day, ran a post praising quick-drying Keen sandals as a gift from above. Months later, a blog called Metacool proclaimed all the cool kids are wearing them. Above the post was a photo of Steve Jobs wearing a pair of Keens. During the fall 2004 season, Keen sold 400,000 pairs of shoes in what is typically an off-season for sandals, while spending virtually nothing on advertising. As you can see from my presentation, the fifth wave of computer technology is making global, human, network collaboration a reality. The technology alone is not sufficient to capture the increases in productivity and performance. New attitudes between workers and managers have been crucial in the development and implementation of effective e-technology strategies. Today's leaders must take an active role in encouraging exploration and innovation to more fully develop their organization's network collaboration competencies.